The drumbeat is going loudest about claims in McCain ads about what he and the governor have and have not done and what have and have not been done to them. Critical mass seemingly approaching to the degree that even the Associated Press, at times accused of pandering to the GOP, now truth squatting the McPalin pair, writes Charles Babington, of whom I have personally been critical of McCain. Quote, he keeps saying Palin killed the federally funded bridge to nowhere when, in fact, she pulled her support only after the project became a political embarrassment. He accuses Obama of calling Palin a pig, which did not happen. He says Obama would raise nearly everyone's taxes when independent groups say 80% of families would get tax cuts instead. You have unsuspected depth, sir. I'm joined now by Markos Moulitsas, founder, publisher of DailyKos.com, also the author of Taking on the System, with this disclaimer that I infrequently post at the website. Markos, good evening.
Happy Friday, Keith.
And to you. Paul Krugman at the New York Times called McCain claims out-and-out lies. That was his term. The Associated Press went nearly that far. I mean, holy Don Pardo's pants. Is there a tipping point going on here?
God, I hope so, Keith. I mean, everybody knows. I mean, the McCain campaign knows that they're lying. His supporters know that he's lying. The Obama campaign obviously knows he's lying. The media knows he's lying. And for so long, they pretended that there's actually a legitimate debate happening in this campaign. Now we're finally starting to get a spade called a spade, and I'm hoping that this means that the sort of treatment that Al Gore got unfairly in 2000 will now be fairly applied to John McCain and Sarah Palin.
Obviously, it is not about whether or not you or I or even reporters get this, but whether or not voters are able to separate fact from fiction. Are they seeing this in any way, shape, or form?
You know, I would really hope so. I think if I'm going to have any faith in this country, I really need to believe that. Obviously, his supporters, John McCain supporters, don't care. They're gonna anything that angers liberals, anything that scores cheap points, anything that gets Barack Obama off his message for a day is fantastic, because if Obama gets to talk about the issues people really want to talk about the things that they need to make their lives better, John McCain doesn't stand a chance. So the best chance they have is to knock him off balance every day by throwing mud and knowing it ain't going to stick to the wall. But they don't care, because tomorrow they'll have something new to throw at that wall.
Now, the idea of the lie is not exactly new in American politics, but the idea of it doesn't matter whether or not people believe it, just as long as I keep a variety of them going, is maybe kind of new. You mentioned the Gore campaign, or the campaign against Gore. Is this Republican campaign kind of a bastard child of Bush's campaign to start the war in Iraq, because nobody could stand up and say conclusively every one of these 400 lies are in fact lies? Did that make it possible and an acceptable campaign strategy lie because they can't possibly disprove you fast enough?
Yeah, no, clearly. You say something long enough and repeat it enough, and you hope that people start believing it, even if the truth is something completely different. We saw this on a very small scale after the Republican convention, when people said, oh, the teleprompter malfunctioned for Sarah Palin. She did that without the teleprompter. Of course, the teleprompter worked fine, but it did not matter, because in the world of the Republican Party, you create your own alternative reality, and you say it enough and hope that people think that that is actually what reality is.
Your new book, Taking on the System, is discussing the rise of, in part, technology in giving ordinary people a larger role in this political process, or if whatever we have that looks like a political process. Is it impacting? Are you able to sort of document where it applies in this election?
Well, I think it's absolutely having an impact. For one, just on a broader macro level, this has allowed the Obama campaign to really speak to his supporters directly without going through the media filter, because we know, given the way the media has covered this campaign, that if we depend on the media, we're in really big trouble as progressives. But on a more tangible level, for example, when John McCain selected Sarah Palin as his running mate, Daily Kos community ran into action, and her membership in the Alaska Independence Party and a lot of other things really sort of stem from this open source, grassroots investigative research, investigative reporting that's going on sites like Daily Kos and others like it.
And the use, finally, to come back where we started, the use of the term lie even by one political campaign towards the other. That is kind of a watershed thing. People have been reluctant to use it. Why be reluctant to use it if that's the apt word?
Well, you know, Democrats haven't been lying in the campaign, so Republicans haven't had any occasion to use it, because they would have had no problem doing this a long time ago had the opportunity presented itself. It's art side. I mean, I think you have somebody in Barack Obama who really believes in this high-minded, changing politics thing. Reality is that politics is still a blood sport.
Well, let's see if we can arrange some day next week in which everybody just goes around and answers every question. In what regard, Charlie? We'll just call it Sarah Palin Day. Markos Moulitsas of the Daily Kos. A pleasure as always, my friend. Take care.
Thank you very much.